Yeah, but you are expecting Ukraine to give up 20% of its territory to someone who invaded it.
Well, is Crimea part of Russia or Ukraine?
Ukraine.
That's where we don't agree.
Well, I'm afraid that's part of international treaty. That's not up for grabs.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, hold on.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Fact Override, the channel where we revisit the most unforgettable political moments and expose the voices that once dominated the stage but couldn't withstand real scrutiny. Before we get into this one, comment where you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next breakdown. Now, let's be honest. By this point, everyone knew who Charlie Kirk was, and most people also knew what usually happened whenever he came face to face with someone who actually understood the topics he tried to debate. It was a predictable pattern. He'd start off confident, armed with a few rehearsed talking points, and then, within minutes, everything would fall apart. But this particular moment stood out. What you're about to see was a full-scale intellectual takedown, the kind that left the entire audience laughing, while Charlie struggled to defend arguments that simply didn't hold up. A British university professor calmly and intelligently dismantled his every claim, exposing just how weak those talking points really were. The beauty of it was in the professor's composure. He didn't shout, he didn't mock, he just used logic and precision. And by the time he was done, the crowd was roaring with laughter while Charlie had nowhere left to go. This wasn't just another debate. It was a defining reminder of what happens when performance politics meets genuine expertise. So let's roll the clip. And afterward, we'll break down how this exchange perfectly captured the downfall of performative punditry, and why moments like this will always live on long after the noise fades.
Thank you. A very, very short question. Israel versus Hamas, good guy versus bad guy. Russia versus Ukraine. Who's the good guy and who's the bad guy?
Both are bad, one is worse.
Which way round?
Russia is worse than Ukraine.
Okay, so why haven't we pursued that?
What do you mean?
Well, it seems to me that in the whole of the current US proposition, that Ukraine is being the bad guy.
In what way? We funded Ukraine upwards to $200 billion.
Absolutely, but...
We just signed a mineral deal with Ukraine, not Russia.
Yeah, but you are expecting Ukraine to give up 20% of its territory to someone who invaded it.
Well, is Crimea part of Russia or Ukraine?
Ukraine.
That's where we don't agree.
Well, I'm afraid that's part of international treaty. That's not up for grabs.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, hold on. Even Zelensky has said he's willing to give up Ukraine.
No. America signed the agreement that gave Ukraine Crimea.
Right.
When the Soviet Union ended.
Right. It was done. First of all, it never should have been done. It was largely ceremonial. But however, it was annexed under Obama. Yes, and it was a mistake. And it should be given back to Russia as a sign of good gesture to end this conflict. Okay. But who's currently controlling Crimea? Where was the Russian Navy headquartered in World War II? Where was the end of World War II? This is very important.
I'm not doubting that. I'm just saying that if we're being logical on what has happened, that you are now arguing against that flow. And I don't understand it. Because actually, why is Ukraine the bad guy?
No, I said they're bad. They're not the bad guy.
Yeah, well, you said they were both bad, but one was more bad.
Correct, yes.
So why is Ukraine bad?
Well, there's a lot wrong with Ukraine. First of all, they're not a democracy. Zelensky refuses to hold an election.
Well, no, he can't hold an election.
Oh, wait, did Churchill hold an election during the war?
Because under his constitution...
Hold on, Lincoln held an election during the war. That's not true. He can call an election. He can call a snap election. He's full dictator of the country.
No.
Because he knows that the people of Ukraine would kick him out immediately because he's deeply unpopular. In fact, if he wanted to show a statement to the world, he would call an election and win by 80% and say, see, I'm super popular. So that's number one. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a person being propped up as a government we're sending $200 billion to that refuses even to face his voters.
Okay, I can't agree with you factually on that at all.
Okay.
I mean, constitutionally, Ukraine is not able to hold an election because it's under military law at the moment, and that's just a matter of fact.
Again, he can, as a prime minister or president, he can do whatever he wants.
He can't.
Okay, all right, we're going to just go back and
sign an
forth
executive order and change their constitution.
Okay.
Neither can the American president either. So hopefully there's a bit of
He could even do a ceremonial election to see where he actually stands with the people.
I think we call those opinion polls.
Yes, and they're very negative.
Firmly ahead in the opinion.
Again, but you would agree that a person that holds on to power without the election of the sovereign is pretty questionable.
No, not in those circumstances.
Okay, then we disagree.
No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But give me another reason why you...
They are the most corrupt country in Europe that never even met the most remote standards of joining NATO. Do not know where a lot of this money is going.
I don't disagree that there is a problem with corruption, but the most corrupt country in Europe, are you sure about that?
I'd have to think, I'd have to double or triple think about that, but they're very corrupt.
Okay, so that's a little bit doubtful. It's not absolute.
Well, I mean, well,
would you... There's plenty of corruption around. I mean, you know, let's face it, we are talking about comparison with some of the states you're doing business with in the Gulf.
Oh, of course, but we're not giving them money, they're giving us money. That's a difference, right? Saudi Arabia is...
Oh, so it's fine.
Well, hold on a
so
second.
It's morally acceptable to take money from corrupt people.
Well, hold on. First of all, as far as morally acceptable, you do what's best in the benefit of your country. And so, for example, we were allied with Russia during the Second World War, and I'm glad we were. And I would ask you,
don't forget,
how much money is too much money to send to Ukraine? We're at $200 billion right now.
I don't think you have to send any more money to Ukraine.
We agree.
I think you have to agree to support them as a free country and perhaps sell them weapons, like you're very happy to sell weapons to less free countries. And I think Europe will pick up the slack, as we ought to. And I don't disagree with some of the comments about Europe not looking after its own security. I just don't get this approach, which was supposedly to end the war quickly, which now seems to be elongating it, and in doing so, throwing up a smokescreen of very variable facts, if they are facts at all, about how things occurred, which actually isn't helping things. And if people can't see that Putin is stalling, I'm just... Really
I agree with you. I think he might be stalling.
And therefore, and I think even your president has acknowledged the fact that he thinks he might be stalling.
That's correct. So we don't have a disagreement there.
No, we don't. No,
we just have a disagreement about the efficacy of tactics, and we don't know. And I'm willing to say we could be wrong.
No. Oh, well...
Of course you could be wrong in life.
Yeah.
I mean...
No, I mean, we could all be wrong. But actually bringing that war to an end consistently actually isn't going very well, and I would just suggest to you that whatever tactics have been used are perhaps not the best, and they are certainly inconsistent with what's going on in the Middle East and how America has been treating parties in the Middle East. But I've had enough of your time.
Fair. No, that's a fair contention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Looking back on that moment now, it really showed why exchanges like this mattered so much. Whenever Charlie Kirk came face to face with someone who actually understood the subject, someone grounded in facts rather than slogans, his usual confidence began to crack. You could see it every time. The rhythm of his argument fell apart, the tone shifted, and that trademark certainty faded under the weight of evidence. That's what made this particular encounter so memorable. The British professor didn't shout, didn't insult, and didn't try to win the crowd. He simply out-reasoned him. With every calm, precise answer, the professor stripped away the layers of misinformation that Kirk was trying to lean on. And by the end, the crowd wasn't laughing out of cruelty. They were laughing because the truth had finally been spoken so plainly that there was nowhere else for Kirk to go. It was a moment that captured the essence of what real debate should look like, facts versus fabrication. And as someone who's covered countless political exchanges, I can tell you, few have ever exposed the weakness of performative punditry, quite like this one did. But now, in light of recent events, I want to say this clearly. While many of us strongly disagreed with Charlie Kirk's politics and often criticized the misinformation he spread, disagreement is never justification for violence. The news of his murder was tragic, shocking, and wrong on every level. No matter your political stance, no one deserves to lose their life over ideology or belief. So, while we can still analyze his legacy, criticize his rhetoric, or even laugh at his public missteps, we should also recognize that a life was lost, and that is something no decent person should ever celebrate. My sincerest condolences go out to his wife, his family, and everyone close to him who are dealing with that loss. If there's one lesson from all this, it's that truth and accountability should never come at the cost of humanity. Debate should challenge ideas, not erase people. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, not just about the debate, but about what this all says about where we are as a society. And before you go, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new breakdown here on Fact Override, where we look past the noise, question everything, and always lead with perspective. Because in the end, it's not about who shouted the loudest. It's about who learned something from the silence that followed.